Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new episode of the Shuffle Pod. I think we are on episode 8 now, and we got another special guest for this week's episode, and that is, of course, Luke Morsa, aka Celio's Network. Yo, what's up, Luke?
Hey, LDF, how's it going? Yeah, I'm happy to be on this podcast. Big fan of LDF and Lindsay and the Shufflers. So, yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, we were definitely looking at all the potential guests, and you were on that list. And we got, of course, a pretty nice, juicy week of topics to talk about, as, of course, we have had Lost Origin release on PTCGO, and with that, there is a brand new format and a brand new meta with a lot of new decks right now to talk about, a lot of new cards, and it's going to be a pretty good discussion, I want to say. Because we're really going to be talking about what decks are doing really well right now out of the Lost Origin meta, and what decks kind of have impacted the metagame the most coming out of Lost Origin. I think it's going to be making for a pretty good discussion. Now, of course, before we get into all of that, we got to do our weekly roundup. So how has your week been, Lindsay?
My week, oh goodness. I went back to work this week. I am a little bit sick today, so I am feeling a bit under the weather. So that kind of sucks, but I'm here. I have the day off. Just ready to talk about some Pokemon. Been playing a lot of the Lost Origin new set, did some online tournaments. I won an online tournament with Leafeon, so that was kind of fun. Made my heart feel happy from back in the days. Don't underestimate Leafeon, y'all. Don't do it. Don't be doing it. So what else did I do this week? Really, that's about it. Just kind of been playing some of the new stuff, making new decks, trying to see like we talked about, what we're going to be talking about is kind of what's going to be like those best decks, best early decks, those optimum builds. So I can kind of get a head start against people in my locals. We have a 1K coming up, and I kind of want to be ready for it. So. How about you, LDF?
My week's been pretty fun. Of course, I've been basically just streaming all of the new Lost Origin decks. I've been streaming on my Twitch for basically the entire weekend since Thursday when Lost Origin came out. And now there's a running meme on my Twitch channel because I can't pull an Ultart Giratina. And no joke, I have opened up probably close to like 2,000 packs now. Like, I've just been quite literally like, I found like an infinite money glitch with my subscribers and my followers where like in the stream, I'll like open up like a bundle of like 100 packs, and every card I pull, like all those cards, I'll trade off to my subscribers and followers for more packs, and I'll just keep like cycling it, and I'm not stopping until I pull that Ultart Giratina. I've pulled quite literally every single card in the set except for the Tina. Every single card is being pulled except for this Tina, so I don't know what's going on. I'm cursed or something, but we're gonna shoot for it. But that's been that, and other than that, I've been basically just been streaming all kinds of new decks on my Twitch, uploading videos to the YouTube. I'm in that like new set, hype grind mode where everything's all fun and everything's all cool now because all the new cards are out. The format's fresh. It's not stale anymore. So basically just been grinding content. I had to pre-record 6 videos in advance for when I'm in Baltimore. I am leaving to go to Baltimore tomorrow. And I had to like record like 6 videos so that I have a video going out every day that I'm away, since of course it is the new set. I really do not want to be missing out on any uploads at all. So that's basically how my week's been. Just literally been grinding out content, spending like 10 hours a day on PTCGO, doing all kinds of stuff. But what about you, Luke? How has your week been so far?
I've had those cards that elude you from a set before too. I've also had those cards that don't stop showing up. I think during my Darkness Ablaze PTCGO opening, I pulled like 8 Butterfree VMAXs, and then IRL, I opened a case of Chilling Rain, and I didn't get a single Shadow Rider VMAX.
Oh my god.
So I feel that, but 2,000 packs is a little nutty.
Yep.
My week, I mean, like you guys said, Lost Origin is out, and, this set's really fun, so it's been refreshing, kind of for the past couple of years. Every time a set comes out, I think we hope that it gives us back that feeling of playing the Pokemon TCG. And there have been sets that have done it for people. I know a lot of people really felt fulfilled playing the Evolving Skies format. Like Lindsay loved Leafeon. I also liked Leafeon, but it really didn't do it for me in the same way that Lost Origin is. So I'm having fun with Lost Origin, creating some content, creating some lists on the down low, metagaming a little bit for Peoria, and then we've got Baltimore coming up. The format has been played out for a while. They added Pokemon Go. It's still pretty much the same thing as Milwaukee and NAIC at this point. So I haven't been over prepping for Baltimore, and more so just playing around with the new Lost Origin stuff, because I could probably test for Baltimore 20 extra hours and I'll still play the same deck at this point. So but yeah, happy to have the new Lost Origin set out and a lot of creative stuff to work with.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy that we got a new set. It feels like the Astral format was just kind of dragging on for a little too long, because it was basically just like the same dominant decks, and the Astral format really kind of just felt more, not like luck based, but it did really feel like more of the like a coin flip.
Who goes
meta.
first?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Who goes first?
Yeah,
and there was an extra month or so added on because Lost Origin came out essentially a month late if you look at the typical release schedule. So we had even longer with Astral Radiance.
Yeah, usually we get like a set like in August or like sometime in the summer, and then we get like rotation in September, but they like changed it this year where now rotation is like next year, and then we got Lost Origin in like early September, which, I mean, I guess we got Silver Tempest coming out soon, but it did feel like there was like a really long gap between Astral and Lost Origin, even with Pokemon Go being released kind of in the middle. So.
Yeah, I like that rotation is going to be aligned with Japan, but I don't like that Lost Origin had a 4-month gap instead of a 3-month.
Yeah, I agree.
Make sure you guys are checking out the Ask the Pod. So we have, you can feel free to send questions for the chance of them being answered on next week's podcast. Send them over to podcast@theshufflesquad.com. You can also send us suggestions, topic ideas you'd like to hear, and even recommend guests that you would want to see on the podcast. So go ahead and send them a little email, or just say hey. Just say hey, what's up, and we'll say hey back.
Yep, it's another little way to be on the pod, essentially. So might as well try it out, and who knows, maybe your question will be featured on the next episode of the pod. If you are looking to get a great price on any and all Pokemon TCG products, head over to Atlas Collectibles and you can see their huge selection of Pokemon and Magic cards. And of course, at the checkout, be sure to use our discount code TSS12 for a 12% discount on your purchase, which is pretty crazy. 12% is a lot to save on your order. So definitely make sure to go check out Atlas down below. Atlas does stock seal product as well as singles. So whether you need one card or you need, let's say, 100 cards, especially with the new set being released, you can get it shipped to you worldwide.
If you don't need any physical cards, no singles, no sealed product, if PTCGO is where you like to live, then go over to PTCGOstore.com and save yourself 5% with code TSS5. And now it is time for Guess That Pokemon. This puzzle was brought to you by Pokex Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles, where new puzzles are posted every day. They recently, on Monday, just launched the online version of Guess That Pokemon. It's on the website, so go check them out, PokeXWord.com, and follow them on Twitter. So if you share your results on Twitter, you get entered in for free PTCGO codes every month. So fun, free giveaways. It's kind of like Wordle, but it's Pokemon related. So it's really fun. I like doing them every morning. So we'll go ahead and get going with today's Pokex Word. So for this puzzle, our first hint, the type is darkness, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters. So we need to be guessing 8 letters, dark type. How many letters is Eternatus? Nope, not enough.
I think that's 9.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moltres is 7. Let's see.
What other dark Pokemon are there?
Dark
There's...
Pokemon.
Poochyena, is that too many? That's too
Yeah,
many.
I think that might be. I was thinking that too. Yeah.
What about Mightyena? Yep, that's too many too.
Yeah, that's like 10.
What
Lipard is 7, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lipard 7.
Thievul? Is that 7 too?
Yeah, it might be.
How do you spell Sneevil?
No, Thievul.
Oh, Thievul. How do you spell Thievul?
Thievul. I think it's 7 letters.
Ooh. Well, actually, try Weavile.
Are there 2 L's?
Not just one. I think that's 7 letters.
Yeah, that's 7.
So
Dang,
many
8 letters?
What about Sneasel? Could be Sneasel.
That's even less letters, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well,
yeah,
no.
it's 6, right?
S
No, it's
and-
7.
Yeah, okay. Might be Sneasel. Just in time for Hisuian Sneasler.
Or wait, is Sneasler dark type, or is it just...
Yeah, I think it's a dark type, but
yeah,
it might be Hisuian, right? So it's like the name's even
Oh,
longer.
did I spell it wrong?
Sneasler. Sneasler.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's saying word not in list, so I think it would be. I don't think.
Okay, that wouldn't count.
What about Houndour? One of those two?
Houndour. Let's try Houndour.
Yeah, that might be 7.
Oh, okay. So it looks like so that was not it, but we know that there's no H, no D, but there is an O, U, an N, and an R in the Pokemon's name.
O-U.
So we know that there's an O, U, N, and an R in the name.
That's like...
So the attack name, so we got hint number 2. The attack name is Dig Claws.
Oh.
Hmm.
Dig Claws.
Dig Claws.
That made me
What's
think
the
of Excadrill.
anteater looking Pokemon?
Heatmore?
Heatmore?
That's a fire type, though.
No, not Heatmore.
Excadrill?
Yes.
That's a
That's-
metal.
I guess so, no.
That's a steel and ground type, though.
Yeah.
What about
Not dark.
Pawniard, Bisharp? One of those two? So it's like got claws. I'm
Pawniard
thinking-
could fit,
Dig.
I think.
Which one?
Pawniard. Pawniard.
Yeah, Pawniard.
Oh wait,
Ooh.
that doesn't have the right kind of letters.
Yeah,
Don't
it
we
doesn't
need it like
But-
as an
match
O?
up.
Oh, okay. I think we know.
That's not
so
8
it
letters.
starts. It
Oh, yeah,
starts
right.
with a P.
P.
We have an I in there as well, and we got the Pokedex entry, which kind of gives it away a little bit. It steals things from people just to amuse itself with their frustration. A rivalry exists between this Pokemon and Nickit.
Does that give it away? Because it doesn't for me.
Yeah, that's Gen 9, right? That's Gen 9. Because Nickit's from... Yeah, no, I'm not super, like... I don't know all the Gen 9 Pokemon that well. Like I do the other generations.
So it starts with a P.
P.
Anyway, what are all the other letters?
Looks like RUION.
Oh my god, we have so many of the letters.
Oh. Morgrim. What's Grimmsnarl's evolution line? Morgrim.
Prim, is it like...
It might
So
be
that's
more.
something that starts with a P?
Yeah, it might be Grimmsnarl's first evolution. No, maybe not. You got Morgrim, Grimmsnarl. I'm like drawing a blank on whatever Grimmsnarl's like baby evolution is called. It's like
Yeah, I've never known.
I can't remember.
I don't play, I've never played Grimmsnarl decks, so...
I have.
LDF has. It's starts with a P. I mean, we have like a lot of letters in there, but
Oh,
oh,
I feel like this is like really obvious. Like when you say what
it
is.
is. It is because what? I guess it. Okay. I think I know what it is. Okay. So, what would have a? It's a first evolution, right? So it's like a basic Pokemon. So like, what would have like a little rivalry with like a little fox? I guess that doesn't really give it away.
Be like a
Meow.
Berserker? Meow?
Purloin.
Purloin.
Oh. So it wasn't even from Gen
Purloin.
9. So it's Lipart's
That-
pre-evolution.
Because I remember, because I always like reading my flavor texts on stream, and I remember reading something like that, and because like Purloin, Purloin. Come on, guys, let's go.
I know.
We got a score of 3.
That's not bad. Dang, and I know Gen 5 really well too. That's a shame. We should have guessed that.
Yeah, that was kind of a hard one.
Yeah, so I thought it was
Kind of a
gonna, I
hard
thought it was
one.
gonna be Gen 9 because it was like Nicket's like Gen 9. So it's like, okay, the rival has to be in Gen 9 too, like Heatmore and Durant, right?
Right.
Pokéx Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles. New puzzles are posted every day, and they recently launched a new Guess That Pokemon puzzle, which is a ton of fun to play. Go check them out at PokéXWord.com and be sure to follow them on Twitter for your chance to win a ton of PTCGO codes every month.
We are back now with the regular scheduled program. Now, Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and also kind of break down what kind of got you into doing content creation? Because I know you are one of the new baby boomers of the pandemic era Pokemon TCGO YouTubers. So definitely you've had a huge rise over the past few years, and it'd be interesting to kind of hear how like your story went and like how it all went and came to be.
Yeah, for sure. So I started creating content very late 2017, and from 2017 to 2019 just did it super casually. Like there would be weeks where I uploaded 7 videos, weeks where I uploaded 0 videos. It wasn't really a thing that I was treating like work. And I really just started because I wanted to talk about Pokemon cards, and I figured some people would want to listen, so I tossed some videos up. It grew into something else. I've always been interested in trying to find myself in a place where my career could be something that's not a 9 to 5, and so this definitely helped that. And I was really able to start putting my all into it when I finished grad school last summer. And so I started coaching a lot more and creating content, trying to make it daily and streaming and all that. But yeah, I've played Pokemon since I was like 5 or 6 years old, so always loved Pokemon TCG, and I also like putting creative stuff out there, so yeah, started the channel just to talk about Pokemon and have an outlet, and here we are.
Yeah, I feel you on that one with like the whole like 9 to 5 job thing. It's kind of never been my cup of tea either, right? So being able to like be a content creator and kind of having your own like time schedule and like doing work whenever you want to do work as opposed to like having to like strictly work at this set of time every single day is definitely nice.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, Luke, I remember one of your videos from like the pre-pandemic. It was like when Ultra Prism first came out. I remember you did a video. I think it was like on Leafeon GX or something.
And
Like,
Lurantis.
yeah, I remember that video like vividly because I remember watching that when I was looking.
That
like,
was back when I was on. I started the channel on a MacBook 2010, and so like my PTCGO gameplay was like glitchy and stuff, like because my MacBook could barely record a video.
yeah, I used to do videos on my MacBook too. Until I'm like, okay, we got to get ourselves a PC here. Yeah, I was in that same boat. I did all my videos on my MacBook at the time, and it was all right, but yeah, definitely not like the best quality in the game. Like always, like the fan was like on like high all the time, so all you would hear.
Yeah, fans always on.
Yeah, especially with MacBooks.
That's funny that you remember the Leafeon Lurantis video, because like there was essentially nothing too special about it. It wasn't a competitive video, but it also wasn't like a very creative rogue deck. It was just it's two grass GX Pokemon. Let's toss them together, I think.
Yeah, because I remember like at that time, it was when Ultra Prism first came out. I recorded my videos, like I recorded a video when like Ultra Prism came out when I was in school one day. So I recorded a video, like I booked a study room and I recorded a video in my study room, and I had my friend like kind of watch the door so no one like come in accidentally and like interrupt my video or whatever. It actually did happen. And I remember like I was like, I think my first video I did was like on Dustmane Necrozma GX. And then I think it was like the next day I did a Leafeon video. And after that, I was like looking at Leafeon deck ideas because Leafeon was like a really cool card because like you could play with like a bunch of evolutions or whatever. And I was like looking on YouTube for like another like Leafeon deck idea, and I saw your video and I was like watching. I'm like, ooh, I like this concept, and I kind of like had it in the back of my mind. I was like, maybe I'll like do a video on like a Leafeon Lurantis deck because it seemed like a pretty cool concept. So
Yeah, I always liked the promo Lurantis back then.
yeah, Promo Lurantis, I remember when it first came out, it like got a lot of hype. It was like, oh, it's gonna be the new best Vileplume partner with Force Giant Plant, and then it just kind of didn't really take off like Decidueye did or anything. But yeah, I remember that. The early Sun and Moon days, the good days of the TCG that we'll probably be returning to, thankfully, with the Scarlet and Violet set with the brand new EX cards.
So, Luke, I want to know where did the name Celio's Network come from, and why did you decide to make that like your little identity?
Well, in September 2017, I started my YouTube channel with my school email, and it just defaulted made the name of my YouTube channel to Luke Morsa, and people were like, "Oh, you need a name," because nobody wants to just go click on some person's name. I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll name it after a card I liked." So I named it Celio's Network because similar haircut I had at the time, wear glasses. Celio was about like connecting people through the technology and stuff, and like I grew up in a time when like there wasn't a vast amount of knowledge about Pokemon TCG meta, or really meta for any kind of strategy game like this back then. So it was more like you discuss on forums with people, but like people could show up to a tournament with 100 different decks. It wasn't like it is today. And so like connecting people through technology and the networking and everything like that. So I was like, okay, Celio's Network is a fine name for what I'm doing. So I had to delete that original channel because it was connected to my school email and I couldn't change the name and blah, blah, blah. And made Celio's Network.
Yeah, every time I see that card now, I like the first thing that pops my mind is you, because like your name is like synonymous with that card now, basically, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and I kind of agree with you on that, with like your content kind of being like a network, because you're like one of the more like the statistical like stat like Pokemon TCG competitive YouTubers, which at the time we really didn't have like any of those type of YouTubers. I mean, like we had like a few YouTubers like Trainer Chip, he would do like the meta discussion videos, and then Omnipoke would sometimes like kind of dabble in that like kind of more like stat side of things. But you were like the first person to like really kind of get into like the statistics and kind of like the bigger meta breakdowns and stuff. I've watched basically all of your meta breakdown videos before like a tournament or like a whatever type of thing happens. Like I just watched your recent one they did with Josh Frink and Grant Manley for Baltimore. I've always loved watching those videos, like listening to them and stuff in the background. And I definitely think you're one of like I would say one of the more pioneers of like that trend of like doing more like statistical competitive videos and kind of breaking down the meta and kind of being like digging more deeper into the meta game instead of just like on the surface level, which is kind of what it was, I feel like, before you kind of launched onto the scene.
Yeah, I think it's because that's what I'm interested in, right? Is like the meta of it and the statistical stuff. And I just, like I said, I started the channel to just talk about what I was interested in. And so I didn't have to meet the needs of my viewership or my audience or whatever. So I could just talk about those things that I liked. And if I was going to build a channel, I was going to build it on that. And sure, most of my videos now won't deal with the top 1% of players want to hear about and statistical analysis, but I still toss it in every week or two, because at the time I hadn't realized that most people enjoy TCGs at a casual level, just because I am so like neurotically into the Pokemon TCG
Yeah.
at a high like meta analytical level. Even when I played casually, I still analyzed it in this way. It doesn't mean everybody is. A lot of people just want to find a deck they enjoy playing and play it. So my content has definitely shifted and changed, but like you said, for the meta analysis stuff, I still try to keep my roots.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important. I think kind of, especially in the Pokemon TCG YouTube scene where it feels like it's just like not everyone does the same thing, but like there's a higher quantity of people that focus more on the meta than anything else. I do think it's important to kind of have like a niche within that kind of sphere of like meta YouTubers, you know what I mean? Where it's like instead of just like playing the most recent deck that, won regionals or won an online tournament, kind of being more like statistical and like analytical, I think it's just like, it branches you off and like makes you stand out from the crowd. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's pretty important to kind of keep your roots and kind of be in that kind of thing of people for sure.
Yeah, that's why I kind of just started my personal channel. I only have like a couple videos on there, and I think I'm at the point now where I think I'm just going to start making meme videos, right? Like
Yeah.
I just made that meme video about Reggie and that person on PTCGO like roasting me saying I'm playing slow and then like immediately messed up and like me popping off with Reggie, and it was just like a quick 3-minute meme video. I think that's just what I'm going to do because I mean, I don't have time to really do much more. I'm already filming the tabletop videos. We're doing the pod, and on top of that with my basically 9 to 5 job, except I'm 8 to 4:30. And like my occasional rare day off if I work on a weekend. It's just, I think I'm just going to keep doing these meme videos because they're funny.
Yeah, and it's easy to clip through like a stream, right? And
Oh, yeah.
find those and just toss 3 minutes in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And,
Oh, yes.
and not many people kind of do like meme type videos like that. I don't think there's like any YouTuber who really kind of does that on that type of level. So even that'll help you stand out more, finding your niche within the Pokemon TCGO community. I think it's kind of important because I do think ever since the pandemic, we've had like a new like boom of YouTubers. And of course, we kind of had older YouTubers kind of stop uploading. You know who I'm talking about, Celia, I'm sure you know. Yellow Swallow and Dark Integral Gaming. And I feel like we're kind of in the new era of like Pokemon TCG content creation now. And I do feel like there's a lot of YouTubers who do kind of more meta stuff than non-meta stuff, or even just like anything else than just the meta. So I definitely think having your own kind of like unique niche within the community, I think will help you stand out more. It's just really important, I feel like, right now. And I think that's just kind of a valuable asset to have.
I think
Niche within a niche.
Basically.
I think that happens because a lot of the people that get into Pokemon content creation are, people that went to a tournament and then they go home and they watch videos like Mahone's or Azul's or mine, and then they want to make content like ours. But it's hard to break into the competitive content. It's a lot easier to break into the casual content, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And the, more fun and lighthearted, because like a new viewer doesn't want to hear about my percentages of a meta game against this percentages of that and the trends, but they'd love to see some Pokemon blow up another Pokemon. So
Yeah.
I think that holds back some of the newer YouTubers sometimes when they try to just like copy paste the like Celio, Azul, Mahone formula.
Yeah.
Like you are kind of known as being the person who tries to stretch rogue cards to their fullest potential, right? Like you'll take some weird stage 2 and a kind of okay VMAX and say, let's try to beat meta decks with this.
Yeah.
Like, so that, and then people love that. So
Doing like 500 damage with a bunch of Clefairies. People love it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the best advice I can give, I guess, to any like upcoming YouTuber trying to get in the Pokemon TCG scene. Because like I do feel like we're kind of at a point now where I feel like there is enough competitive content out there, like, and I feel like also to be like a big competitive YouTuber like that, you have to be a well-known, respected player, which is obviously a good reason why like someone like Azul has been able to kind of become such a household name within the community, is because he's a really good player. Like, he's one of the best players in the game right now. You know, he won
he's
NEIC.
pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's
He's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, and I feel like unless you're like offering something like what Azul has, or even like another like pro player, like someone like Tablemon, like you have to have like the backings to be that type of person in the community, I think. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like doing the rogue content, is like, I mean, obviously, like, I don't consider myself the best player. I don't think I'm a bad player either. I'm just kind of more in the middle, and I think that kind of offering that content to like newer players, or like just people that don't want to, you know, play the meta all the time. They want to just play, you know, for fun and just kind of have a fun time on the ladder. Then, you know, the decks don't have to be the world's greatest decks ever. As long as you're just having fun and showing off cool combos and entertaining people, like, I don't see, you know, what the problem is with that, right? So
Right.
I think that's pretty important to kind of do that as a Pokemon TCG YouTuber right now.
You hear that, Samuel Simku? If you're listening, you just got to get over it, friend. You got to get over it.
I've seen him pop up on a few people's videos now. I think he was commenting on like Omnipoke's video, because I saw Joe tweet out yesterday a comment from Samuel Simku. So I'm like, oh no, he's starting to.
He comments on the Celios network, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
no.
says Celio's network is dead every day. Every single video, even when I upload 2 videos in a day, he comments it on both videos.
He's relentless. He just sits at home, like, waiting for you all to upload videos, just being like, I'm gonna tell them they're dead. I'm gonna tell them they're dead.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yo, shout out Samuel Simku. Shout out to the real
He's
homie.
the real MVP.
I feel like there was a point where we all didn't know it was happening to all of us, and then
Yeah.
I remember Luke, because you said something about it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait. I was like, that's like LDF's troll too.
yeah.
Oh, Samuel
gosh.
Simku.
It's actually hilarious. Oh man.
It is really funny. Hold on, I feel like we gotta get some comments read for people who don't know. I feel like we got it. I feel like we have to.
Oh my gosh. He's been.
I gotta.
Oh my gosh. Samuel Simku.
He comments, "You're dead" on every video.
Yeah, well now it's getting a little more creative lately.
Yeah.
He said, "You, Celio, really try." Really try, get back and put something again to the game, but the question is, if is enough?
Just love how it's not like proper, like he's not like English.
Oh my gosh, he's relentless.
Actually
Yeah.
is.
I'm going down my comments right now.
Yeah, I'm looking right now too. He comments on all of my videos. It's hilarious.
Celio tried to get back, but I'm not sure about until now. Celio is still dead.
Oh man.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
his LDF comments are like gold.
He like
Oh
calls
my
me
gosh.
he calls me like a freak and like says that I'm like Spider-Man.
He's like
What?
LDF little freak.
What?
Oh, I gotta find some. We need to pin all of his comments or something. So
we gotta make like a collection of it or something.
Yeah.
I know we need a whole collection.
Uh,
Oh, that's so funny.
he's
Oh, he hasn't commented on your new one.
I know. He like sometimes he had like a period where he like stopped commenting, and now he's like commenting again. I'm like, okay, welcome back. Oh, I found one. So on my Onyx Pokemon Go video, he's like, Fury, some of my guys see you around Toronto in Slowbro costume. I hope they're just joking, not true. You little freak, Fury. Stop playing Pokemon TCG.
I'm crying. I found it was when he said this guy. He said it's almost like he said this guy Fury. This guy Fury is biggest freak I ever see. He needs some doctor.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm actually crying right now. Oh my
crying.
god.
Oh, I'm crying.
Jeez. Samuel, you keep us entertained.
What's it even?
You know, I do it for the people like Samuel.
Sammy, we do it for you.
Oh my god.
I can always
I'm crying.
count on him for a +1 engagement.
His comments are just too funny to like not get mad at. Basically,
Yeah.
like apparently you see me walking around Toronto in a Slowbro costume. I gotta do that. I gotta buy a Slowbro costume now.
Now you have to. I'm literally crying. Oh, that's so funny.
That's actually hilarious.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Ooh. Okay, Shuffle Pod. Now that we got our laughs out of the way, we'll go ahead and transition into the Lost Origin. So I kind of want to start talking about some of the best early decks and some of those optimum builds. I think the obvious ones we're seeing right now, Giratina, Gudra, Kurum.
Yeah.
I don't want
We're seeing like
Kurum,
yeah,
Kyurem.
Kyurem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think?
I mean, it's interesting. I also think like the the Cramorant Lost Box deck is doing pretty well right now too, in the online tournaments. I think right now, Kyurem has been like the biggest card out of Lost Origin so far. Like from what I've seen in the online tournaments, Kyurem is like doing really well right now. Like multiple top 8 finishes. I'm pretty sure Zach Lesage won a tournament with the Kyurem deck a few nights ago. So like, I mean, Kyurem is just really good. Obviously, it's really good with Palkia. Palkia is obviously like probably still like the best like card in the format, even with the new set being released, and having a new like card that is potentially better than Ice Rider in the form of Kyurem is kind of insane. So what are your thoughts on that, Luke? And kind of the meta.
Yeah, so pre people actually getting the cards on PTCGO and stuff, I kind of put Hisuian, Zoroark, V-Star, and Kyurem kind of in the same boat. I'm not surprised that Zoroark is performing less well than Kyurem because I don't think it's as good at all.
It's getting a bit of hype right now, but it's not like I don't think Zoroark. It's too like high rolly in my opinion.
It's also the only game plan of Zoroark is like try to get a one-shot knockout and then do it again and then do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm not really
You want to see me do it again?
I'm really not interested.
Yeah.
Kyurem is definitely similar, but it has that versatility that Ice Rider Palkia had, except now we have a cool new ability added in. So, you know, I'm down with the way Kyurem Palkia works. I like that you can tech in the Empoleon, and that you don't even really need too much of an engine because it works really well with Oranguru. So I think Kyurem is good, and I think it's presenting itself like a tier 1 deck right now, but I can see it falling into the 1.5 or 2 range that Ice Rider was in for a while, once more people can play Giratina. And also I think Lost Box and Giratina are very, very like you can build a simple Giratina deck and do well with it, but I think it's going to do best when the lists get really convoluted and harder to play, with a lot more options in them, because Lost Zone really lends itself to having boxy style decks with a lot of options. And not all of the world's best players play in these online events. So
Yeah.
I think in real life events, we'll definitely see the Lost Zone stuff, like the Lost Box and Tina and stuff, really show off a lot more. But we've already seen Gustavo Wada top 4 the late night with a Tina list. But yeah, Kyurem, lots of Kyurem. And that's because it has high HP and it hits hard, you know, and it's not too hard to do it with it. So, and we have some great players piloting it in these online events. So, Gabe Smart and Frank Persick both played it last night. So yeah, hits hard, seems consistent. It's very hard to knock out unless you're teching a metal attacker. So Kyurem doing well, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Kyurem's like, it kind of has everything right now. It's got, you know, you can play like the best V-Star with it. You have the entire water engine behind it with Irida and Bucket and Greninja. It's pretty insane. Like, I mean, water's just obviously the best type right now. And Kyurem just like naturally is a good fit for Palkia. And while I do think that we could be in like the honeymoon phase where it's like, I don't know if this is legit, like actually that good, or if it's just like another Ice Rider. But I do think Kyurem is like still probably better than Ice Rider. Ice Rider relies too much on Melanie, and you're not able to like attack all the time because you have to like if you whiff a Melanie or whatever, you're just kind of like in trouble. And the Kyurem deck is more simple, right? Because like you said, you can use like Orang Guru. You don't have to play the Inteleon engine. You can just use Guru, so you have like a lot more room in the deck for tech cards. I've seen people in their Kyurem decks play like Rotom phones and all kinds of interesting techs to just make it easier to pull off like those glaciated whirls and stuff. I think the big thing with Kyurem is that it just does more damage than Ice Rider. It does 270 with the 3 energy discards, and it doesn't have a damage cap. So I think it's 4 energy. You just knock out almost everything in the format, basically.
4 energy, you're doing 320. Just
Yep.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and because of because of Star Portal, it's really not that hard to get 4 energy on a Kyurem out of nowhere, like on your second turn. And then of course with Guru and Glaciated World, it's pretty easy to kind of do that. So we'll have to see if Kyurem pulls up.
Yeah, definitely having those water energies in hand, and then Primate Wisdom, putting that energy back on the deck, and then using the Glacier World?
Yeah,
Glaciated World.
I think it was Glaciated World, and then you're able to then attach it. And the thing is, you can attach it to any Pokemon any way you like. Like I've been in some situations where people were trying to boss stall me, and I was able to Glaciated World to my active to retreat it. And then still, take that out of the discard pile with Training Core and then attach it manually.
Yep.
So there's a lot of really cool options there with that. I've been kind of playing around. I'm trying to get away from like what everybody else is doing, just trying to try new stuff. But I've been working on a build with no Palkia.
I think you can get away with it.
And using Frostmoth and heavy energy recyclers. Heavy bucket, yeah. I just uploaded a video today on a Kyurem deck that uses Frostmoth in it. It still plays a 1/1 Palkia because Star Portal Kyurem is too good to pass up on, in my opinion. Right.
But I'm doing the same thing with Frostmoth and Kyurem. I have like a heavy counter switch. You can switch Kyurem to the bench and then just build it back up in a single turn. And Kyurem having 330 HP is actually really relevant. That is very, very bulky. It's actually really hard to KO a Kyurem unless you are literally playing a metal Pokemon or something. Kyurem is very, very bulky, and that is one thing it does have going for it, is it is very sturdy. Yeah, I do think Kyurem VMAX is pretty good. Now, I guess while we're on the topic of the Lost Zone stuff, Luke, that you brought up. So Giratina, we know Giratina is like the new hyped card out of the set. I don't know if Giratina's been performing as well as people maybe would have expected. Like, I don't think it's like doing. It's not. I don't even know if it's doing as good as Kyurem, to be honest. Like, I think it's not flopping by any means. It's still holding up pretty well. But I don't think it's like doing like what people thought. And do you think that could be because, the online tourneys are a lot different than what IRL would be like?
Yeah, I mean, Kyurem is also 5 packs a card, and Giratina
is 32.
I don't know how many, but it's
expensive.
A lot.
I've traded off so many Giratinas in the past week.
So, I mean, if every card was free, I think we'd see a lot of people trying Giratina, but players that don't know how to build it yet and aren't sure how to play it yet are probably going to go ahead and build something like Kyurem because they've played decks like it before, and it's also cheaper to build.
Right.
And things like Hisui and Zurich because it's cheaper to build and they've played things like it before. Or apparently you can just play a Palkia list from last format and get first, second, and third place, and you don't even need a single new card in it. So
Lost Origin, who?
Exactly, yeah.
So Palkia V-Star is still very good. So I think that's mostly the reason why Giratina is not seeing as much success, is the availability of the card online right now, and also like availability would matter less if this was like an official circuit or something and people were like, Worlds invites were on the line.
Right.
But when it's an online event with not much on the line, then people are less likely to invest for it, and they'll just play something that's a little cheaper and also good.
Right.
But then you have players like Gabe Smart and Frank Persick who probably don't mind trading a couple extra codes to have the best cards in the set, and they're still choosing to play Kyurem. So that also has, that goes to show that Kyurem is good. It's not just because it's cheaper to build. But then you have people like Gustavo Wada choosing to play Giratina and getting into top 4 with a little bit of a funky list and showing that Giratina's very, very good. The Lost Zone box stuff, I think we'll have innovation for a very long time with that.
100%.
I don't think we'll ever have one set way to play Lost Zone box.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I'm like, Mirage Gate itself is just a really not underexplored card because we're still in the early phase of the format. But I think Mirage Gate's one of those cards where I think we're gonna see like some big tournament. Somebody's gonna do like really well with like a wacky Mirage Gate engine deck with like a Pokemon we would not have expected. It's basically like Mirage Gate feels very similar to like something like Arceus V-Star, where I think it'll make a lot of weirder combos good because Mirage Gate is just a really good card for almost anything, really. You can play it with literally anything, which is nice.
I think it makes the single prize decks even better because I feel like if we had something like to be able to use Arceus V-Star with a lot of these single prize decks, it would make them absolutely insane. So the fact that we can now do that in theory, like with the energy attachments with a single prize deck without having any of those two prize liabilities is pretty insane because there's a lot of those good single prize Lost Origin cards. Like the Cram's pretty decent, right? Because you can pretty consistently, I feel like, get 4 cards in your Lost Zone pretty easily.
I've seen
and the Sableye as well.
Yeah, Sableye's really good. Sableye's hard to play around too. I think like Sableye's one of those cards where it kind of reminds me of like Urshifu, where it's like I think a really good player who knows how to like kind of map out their game plan over time will do really well to Sableye because that 12 damage counter placement is really, really strong. And it can be hard to play around too, right? We're not really in a format where you can heal or anything like that much. So Sableye is just really good at that.
Well, I've been looking at Sableye and using the single prize Mimikyu, where your opponent can't heal their bench Pokemon, and you're kind of just spreading out damage on their bench and kind of trapping them into like this weird checkmate situation where it's like, okay, well if you heal this, then like I can still like knock out these and win. If you do this, I can still knock out those and win. So it's kind of, you can put them in like really interesting checkmate situations. So I've been kind of experimenting with Sableye and Mimikyu.
Yeah. I think it is kind of cool. Like, I was thinking about this actually the other day. We're kind of like single prize decks are getting really good now. We're almost to the point where single prize decks are genuinely like being better than most of the 2 and 3 prizers we're getting. And I think that's honestly not because single prizers, like, it's nice to see them. But the one thing I thought of is like with the Lost Zone coming out and like the new set with like Clefairy and stuff, all the interesting single prize decks are all just basic single prizers. Like, we don't see evolution single prizers do anything right now. It's all just the basic heavy single prize decks like Reggie, Rocks, Clefairy, Cramorant, Sableye. All those single prize decks are just all basically just all basic decks. And that just makes cards like Flying Pikachu like inherently stronger. Like, I still think Flying Pikachu is, like, insane in the Lost Origin format because with the rise of these cram decks, I know, like, Mahone put out a video on, like, a Cramorant Articuno deck, which is basically, like, he compared it to, like, Zap Beasts, basically. Like, it's just updated Zap Beasts. Of course, there's Radiant Charizard sometimes in the Cramorant deck. Like, the fact that single prizers are becoming more of a threat, Reggie's getting really good now. I think Reggie's, like, insane at the moment with Gift Energy and Thornton combos. So I think Flying Pikachu is still, like, actually just insane right now because it counters Palkia and it destroys single prize decks, like, really easily. And we're seeing a lot more now because all the single prize decks they're just basic decks. They're not evolutions, right? So it makes it easier for something like Flying Pikachu to dominate. And that kind of brings me to my next kind of deck in the Lost Origin meta, and that's Arceus. Where do you think, like, Arceus stands in the meta? Obviously, Arceus is still good. I've seen a lot of people say that the Lost Zone Giratina deck is not as good as Arceus Giratina. What do you think of that?
Arceus Giratina is just going to be so much easier to build.
Yep.
That's why.
Yeah. It's easier to build and play, right?
And play it, right? Because it's turned, as much as I like Arceus, like the general game plan to get into a game is not very hard. Now, if you and your opponent both get into the game, then it can get tricky. But, like, anybody can attach a double turbo on turn 2 and Trinity Nova and set up their big V Pokemon on the bench. It's not that difficult. So, and essentially, if you've got Arceus, Bibarel, Path, and Marnie in your deck, it can't be too bad of a deck, right? Like I said this in my metagame discussion for Baltimore, like, because you could take the Flying Pikachu and the Desi out and put some other things in. You're going to have a pretty good deck if you've got Arceus, Marnie, and Path in your deck. So,
Yeah, that's all you really need.
The Wombo combo.
Yeah.
because you're going to get set up. You have some percentage of a shot at your opponent getting a dead hand, and you'll slap a Path out there and make them hit a Path checkpoint on turn 2.
Yep.
So, that's why Arceus Giratina seems good, because it is good, but it's at a higher level of play. You can map out exactly what the Arceus Giratina player is going to do for the next couple of turns.
Right.
With a Giratina Lost Zone deck or a Lost Zone box deck, you can't. You don't, because they can, anything you do to prepare for them, they have something else they can change up the game plan with. So Arceus Giratina is going to see early success. It's going to be easier to build, easier to play, but that comes at the cost of being predictable.
Yeah, I think Arceus Giratina Flying Pikachu is probably going to be like the main build people focus on, just because Flying Pikachu is just still really good right now, and Giratina is also really, really good. Some other Arceus decks I've seen, there's Arceus Gudra. Some people are saying Arceus Gudra is pretty good. I know, because it's like basically like Duraludon, because you can play the Hyper Potion double turbo combo with Gudra with its like big tank attack. And do you think that's good, or do you think maybe Lost Zone Gudra is a little bit better?
I've been testing both of them. Again, Arceus Gudra is performing better for me right now, but I think that's because it's easier to build, you know?
Yeah.
Why? Because we took Duraludon out, we put Gudra in, we have an already successful deck core, and we can just go to town. With Lost Zone Gudra, we still got to figure it out, right?
Right.
So, but I'm really loving Arceus Gudra because we got Radiant Gardevoir in it, and if you put Radiant Gardevoir into the Duraludon deck, you lose, because you give them the Arceus, the Dora, the Gardevoir, that's 6 prizes. It doesn't work like that with Gudra, so... yeah, I really like Arceus Gudra. Not sure. It could be... I could say it's a bad deck 2 weeks from now, you know? We're still in the early days.
Exactly.
But right now, it's fun to play, and it feels effective against a good bit of stuff.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by Gudra. Like, I think Gudra's like got a lot of potential, but I'm still like undecided on whether or not it's really all that good. I mean, it only does 200 damage, which isn't a whole lot, and I think it does struggle against decks that can do a lot of damage to you. Like, I think something like Giratina V-Star probably beats Gudra, because it can do, Giratina can do 280 damage minus 80. That's still 200 damage. Like, you're still two-shotting Gudra very easily. It has a way to instantly
Moisture Star.
It has a way to like instantly knock out a Gudra with thing. I mean, you can play like Big Parasol or something to like counteract that, but I do feel like Gudra is kind of in a weird spot where I think its potential is there, but I'm not quite sure it's like really there yet, or people just haven't figured out the most optimal way to play it where it can be good.
Yeah, I think we're still exploring it, because I feel like right now I'm not super in love with Gudra. I'm not super impressed by Gudra. I was doing a little bit of thinking and talking to some people in my Discord earlier, talking about the Kyurem VMAX, and we were talking about like Phoebe, and talking about how Phoebe actually gets through Fantina and the 80 less damage if somebody plays Fantina and does the 80 less damage attack. What, Iron Rollout? Or
Yeah. Rolling Iron, yeah.
Rolling Iron, yeah. So like we actually like kind of came to that conclusion that Phoebe just clears that all out for you.
If Gudra ever became too big, right? Then maybe if Phoebe goes into the deck.
Right.
Max Miracle also goes through it from UV Max, which is
good old
why
Mew.
I've seen some Gudra players playing a Drapion V.
Yeah.
Because I actually ran into the deck on ladder playing Gudra against Mew, and then they like power tablet Max Miracled for 160. I was like, I didn't plan for this. This isn't what I wanted to happen.
Yep.
And I was like, this is way too easy for them to just sit there and say Max Miracle. So it makes sense people are adding the Drapion V in now, because Drapion V is very good versus Mew.
Yeah, Drapion. Drapion's interesting because like I think it's one of the better like best Mew counters you can play right now, but it's kind of in a weird spot where it's like you get like if you're not playing Rod, you get like one use out of it a lot of the time,
Hmm.
but sometimes that one use on a Mew VMAX can win you a game. Like just knocking out a Mew VMAX for free basically is pretty insane. And I
For
guess
free, literally.
yeah, literally for free for no energy. The other thing with Gudra too, I feel like against Mew is Mew has the ability to like go like quad fusion strike energy really quick, and they can start doing like 280 damage to you. Once again, putting on a lot of pressure. And actually, I still think Mew is really good in the format right now. I think it has a pretty good matchup against some of the Lost Zone decks because Lost Zone is quick and fast, but Mew is faster. And I think sometimes Mew can out-tempo a Giratina deck, where if Mew can get like an early kill on like a Giratina V, you know, it's just like, what do you do at that point? Because then you have to go through potentially a Meloetta and then two Mew VMAXs. And if they have the Oricorio in the deck, which I think Mew may start playing Oricorio for the Tina matchup, so that
Yeah.
Tina can't reach the 310 damage with a Choice Belt, then, I mean, it's just like, what can you do at that point, right? So Mew is still probably really good right now. And that's kind of my issue with the Lost Zone decks is they feel like they're more relying on like not having a bad hand. Like you have to basically chain Chorus every turn. So you have to start with one of your Choruses. You know, you have to rely on Comfy saving you. You have to get all the switch combos with Ned and, you know, switch and escape rope and stuff. But I feel like the Lost Zone deck is really prone to like Marnie Path too, which is another thing that I think maybe holds Lost Zone back is like if you're playing against a deck that can go Marnie Path against you, like what do you do? Like they Marnie Path you into like a 5-card hand, they knock out your active Comfy, they leave you with one Comfy in play, you can't do conceal cards with a Path in play. You know, you may or may not draw one of your 4 courses experiment. It's like, what do you do at that point, right? So that's
What deck does not fold to Marnie Path?
that is true. But I do feel like that is kind of the Lost Zone deck's biggest counter is just stuff like even Roxanne. I mean, Roxanne is a lie. It's a horrible card. It doesn't work a lot of the time. It's a 59.
lie.
You're playing a 59
fat
card
lie.
deck. Yeah. You know, you're playing a 59
fat
card,
lie.
yeah, you're playing a 59 card deck with it. But even something like Roxanne could do a lot of damage to a Lost Zone deck because whenever I play against Lost Zone and I don't have a way to hand disrupt them, I feel like I always lose, right? Because they essentially get to see their entire deck and their hand is like huge and they're chaining Chorus every turn and Comfy but when I'm like Marning them consistently and stuff and they're just like, oh, you Marnied me into like too many energy and I can't play Mirage Gate, or you Marnied me into, you know, no playable cards, and that I feel like is what Lost Zone will struggle against the most is players with like Marnie and stuff. But not every deck does play Marnie. We are in a format where Marnie is seen less play. I mean, Palkia still plays Marnie sometimes, and they'll play the Roxanne, but a lot of the time they're just doing Irida and Boss. You know, the only deck that really plays Marnie still is like Arceus, which, you know, I guess the thing, but who's to stop any other deck from playing Marnie? I mean, Marnie's still a really good card, right? If it's going to give you a better time against Lost Zone, why not play more of it? And also gives you, you know, it draws you cards, right? It gives you a 5-card draw. So it's like, if you want to get new cards, you can play Marnie and still do good because of it, because you're giving your opponent like a clunked up hand. So I don't have to see on that one. I think Marnie is kind of underrated right now in the format just because, well, Marnie Path is underrated. Not underrated, but also just kind of like people don't, I feel like, respect it as much right now.
Yeah, people are trying new engines and stuff too.
Yeah.
They want to see what works. I think one of the Palkias that did well in the late night was actually playing 2 Marnie, which is an extra Marnie than the norm, I believe.
Right.
So people might be catching on to that. I also saw some people playing Lost Zone box decks with more than 1 Marnie in the Lost Zone box decks as well. So, you know, we might be having a resurgence of Marnie, because back towards like the beginning of the pandemic formats, it was like, if you're not playing 4 Marnie, what are you doing?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God.
And so now people kind of tapered off of it a little bit, but I think we could, like you said, just making them go through that Marnie checkpoint, like I was talking about the path. It's still like, did you dead draw off a Marnie? Great. Is this path affecting you? Okay.
Exactly.
How about the Empoleon V in the active? Like, you know, so yeah, I agree. Marnie is very strong, and it just gives you like, it kind of gives you like a roll at disrupting your opponent really badly.
Yep. I think, and that's kind of the issue I have with the Lost Zone deck is like whenever I play it, unless I'm finding Colress's experiment consistently, the deck feels very bricky and it doesn't draw that well. 'Cause sometimes you have like 2 Mirage Gates in your hand and nothing else, and you just have like a bad unplayable hand. So I think upping up the count of Marnie in like that type of deck is not a bad idea. Because while you do want to do Colress, you still sometimes want to draw cards, and I don't know. It's an interesting spot to be in right now because Pokemon are printing stronger supporters than just having just your normal Marnie research boss. You got Irida, you got Chorus now, so more people are kind of experimenting with different engines for supporters, and I think that does lend stronger, reasons to play Marnie now. So
yeah, I think I don't think it'll be any secret that Lost Zone decks should play a Luminion V though.
Oh yeah, I think Bat and Luminion, to be honest.
Yeah, they're both good. If you want to just start out with one of them, I think because prior a lot of decks would start out with a Crobat instead of a Luminion. Because Crobat can get you anything,
Okay.
but Luminion gets you turn 1 Colress's experiment. That gets you any kind of card out of the top 5, and it also gets you cards into the Lost Zone, which you kind of want to meet a quota of how many cards you get into the Lost Zone per turn in the first like 3 to 4 turns, and Luminion helps you get there.
Right. Yeah, I've been waiting for Luminion to see more play because Crobat's obviously a really good card, but Luminion, it's basically Tapu Lele, and if we're in this format where we have these more niche supporter cards in the game like Irida and Chorus
that do a specific thing,
then it's important to maybe start trying out Luminion now, and maybe you can like sometimes Mirage Gate to it to get off the board if you're really feeling lucky. So yeah, no, I agree. I think.
Or we can talk about how important and how big Thornton is going to be for stuff like that. Like you can literally turn a Crobat or a Luminion into a Giratina or into, a Palkia, whatever Pokemon you want to use it for. I feel like Thornton Thornton might be, in my opinion, one of the biggest underdogs of the set. I think it's getting a lot of hype, and I think people realize that. But I think Thornton is going to be I think Thornton is going to be explored in ways that people are like, oh, that card's actually insane.
I was surprised not to see any of the Palkia decks that did well play Thornton last night. I was watching some of Gabe Smart's stream when he was playing Kyurem VMAX, and within a minute of watching, I was like, his opponent would have won right there if they were playing Thornton in their Palkia, because Gabe boss KO'd their only Palkia or something, and they had an energy on a Greninja, Radiant Greninja or something, and they had Drizzles and Inteleons and stuff in their hand. They could just drizzle Thornton the Palkia and have a Palkia attacking out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And Gustavo played a 2-3 Giratina line in his list last night as to not start Giratina, or maybe he couldn't find a third Giratina V on the trades, but I'm going to deduce. Is that the word? Deduce? I'm making up words now, but use my reasoning to say that 2-3 Tina, so you don't start the Tina, and then you could just Thornton it into play.
Right.
Maybe change that Luminion into a Thornton, like you were Luminion into a Giratina via Thornton, like you were saying.
Yeah, or even turn to a
you can always yeah, exactly. And you can always rod it back in, if you want to use it again, if you end up starting with it, and
be a better.
And for those of you wondering, it does keep all the effects on the Pokemon, how many turns in play.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if that Greninja was on the bench for a turn and you have a V-Star in your hand, you slap that V-Star on that bad boy. Once it Thornton is good.
One of my friends has been telling me and messaging me all these Thornton combos he's come up with, and some of these are actually legit kind of insane. I'm not gonna leak any of them because they're really, really spicy, but there's some really interesting Thornton concepts out there that I don't know if anyone's gonna figure them out or break them, or even if they're any good, but some of these combos that my friend brought up to me for Thornton are just mind blowing. It's that is genuinely scary to play against in when you think about it. The fact that you can evolve after a Thornton if you wait a turn is what makes it good. If you couldn't do that, this would not be as it would still be good, but not that good. But being able to evolve it
and keeps all the energies and everything.
I'd be less interested in Thornton if it didn't keep turns in play, because like
Right.
it would still be great for things like Reggie.
Yeah.
But I actually have a question for Lindsay, if that's okay, if I turn the table and have a question. So I know you were playing the Reggie's deck with Amazing Rare Evil Tall Thornton. And did it feel like a high rolly fun thing, or did it actually feel correct to play?
It felt so cracked that I can't even explain to you like how cracked it actually was, because it's actually not that difficult to set up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that it's actually not that difficult to set up. Like, I was able to get it out multiple times during locals, like multiple times, like many.
Okay,
Many times.
So are you playing 2 Thornton or 1?
I play 2 Thornton and a Pal Pad because I am running the Pokestop.
Pokestop. Yeah, that makes sense. Because, like, originally people were telling me about this, and, like, I mean, from the start, I've been anti-Reggie Gigas. I still don't know how that's a real deck.
Same.
I love Reggie.
Same.
Like, people were like, oh, did you see, like, months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, oh, did you see Mahone's new video with the Reggie Gigas? I'm like, listen, you're telling me I have to have 6 different Reggies on the board, and then I am attacking with just Reggie? No, there's no way this thing isn't a meme. Well, apparently it works somehow. And then people are telling me on top of that, we're going to throw Thornton and Amazing Rares into the deck. I'm like, all right, historically speaking, if you're a content creator, you've heard 100 different ideas about how we're going to make Amazing Rares relevant finally. So you become pessimistic.
I mean, I think it only really works well with the Yveltal. I think
Yveltal.
the restaurant and stuff is like cute, but like it still doesn't go through. Duraludon VMAX still doesn't go through Flying Pikachu VMAX. You know,
I think if you're disciplined enough to stop yourself at Yveltal, and you want to play a good Reggie deck with a consistent tech like that in it, then that actually sounds good. But when you start going off the rails with like 3 different Amazing Rares and adding,
I was like, I was so up there. I was like, oh my god, we got to add an Amazing Rare. Raikou, we got to like, I was on cloud 9.
Yeah, Lindsay got into the copium tanks because of Reggie.
I did. But I mean, like the only downside is that you have to have either Aurora or like a twin energy like in your hand, or already have an energy attached to another Pokemon.
Right.
But I found the easiest way to do that is just try to like set it up like as early as you can, like in the beginning of the games, like when you're still setting up, like just have like an energy attached to something, or like it's if you know it's there and you know how to like kind of prepare for it, it's really not that hard to get set up.
Yeah.
And gift energy like really helps Reggie.
Gift energy is how you find the Thornton consistently, right? Because you're just drawing every time.
Gift energy is just how you find everything.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's good.
But like you were saying, Thornton's scary in the format. When I reviewed the card, I said like it's that kind of card like Ninja Boy that's very nice to have around, because it's general. It's a general use, like, so you can do a lot of cool stuff, and the designers are doing really well with that, where I think for a while they weren't taking chances on making the cool stuff also good.
Yeah.
Like the cool stuff, LDF knows all about this. The cool stuff they were making, you had to try your darndest to get it to feel okay.
Yep.
And now we've got a Snorlax that hits for 180 for no reason, and we've got Thornton with Amazing Rare Yveltal, a Mirage Gate, and the Cramorant that attacks for. So like you guys were alluding to, the single price stuff is going off now because the designers, I feel like, are making these cards that they could have toned down a little bit and would have seen zero play. They're actually taking risks, and they're like, okay, let's actually give this a little bit of juice and see what they do with it, you know?
Yeah. The only complaint I have about that, though, is that the single prizers, the fact that it's just all basics and evolution still suck, it's still kind of depressing, because a lot of the single prize mirror matches are just whoever gets the first prize card usually just wins.
Right.
Which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I talked about this in a history of power creep video I made a couple years ago, where we would need an era of basics to come in and kind of like set the path, because we've seen this happen before. Before we have stage 1s and stage 2s become meta, we're gonna have to have basic single prizers to become meta, and then it'll work its way through.
Yeah. I'm hoping for that, because I do like how single prizers are good, but I also am not like a fan of how they're all just basics, and it's just they're easier to use, because all you have to do is just bench a basic and then boom, there you go. Instead of you have to evolve, and it takes like more like more like skill, I guess, in a way. Where like before it was like with Zork stand-in and Trashland, Scarboder and stuff like that, and now it's
do have Hisuian Arcanine that its damage output's a little worrisome. It has some conditions to meet, but I think it's actually reasonable.
It's not bad, yeah. I think the Zork engine makes that pretty good. Like maybe Zork is like still kind of underexplored. I mean, the new Hisuian Zork's really cool. I was kind of like looking at that. I'm like, this card's not that great, but when you think about it, it's actually pretty good against some of these more like tankier, like not as many Pokemon in play type decks. Something like, Guja or Duraludon can be really easy to beat when you're playing the Hisuian Zork, and they have no way to get out of the effect, and then they just get KO'd. So I think some like Zork Stage 1 box could be a thing, but other than that, it's just like there's no evolution decks I can really think of where it's like evolution single prizers are good. It's more just basics that could do fast things and 1 KO things, like Reggie, where they, Reggie Alekia Palkia, or Solrock Lunatone, you put like 9 energy on it out of nowhere and just like destroy something. So
I mean, Thornton could be really good in exploring a stage 1 or stage 2 deck as well, because you can have all these different basics out and not have anything be a target. Like if they know that something, if they know that this X Pokemon is going to be the main attacker of the deck, they're going to go target that basic. But with Thornton, you can just have like a Manaphy and turn a Manaphy into a dream. You know what I mean? Turn Manaphy into a dream.
I mean, I think we're still kind of in the early stage of the Lost Origin meta, and surely by next week we will kind of have seen how far the meta has come. I don't think there's anything that can happen at Baltimore for the Lost Origin meta. There's no side event, I'm pretty sure. It's just GLC and then like the main event, the Pogo format. So
right, yeah.
But as kind of the online tournaments continue, I'm sure we'll see more Lost Origin archetypes. I'm sure somebody's going to do really well with like a weird deck, and next thing you know, it's all over the internet. So we'll see.
We have
like Leafeon
Arceus. Just a couple weeks after Baltimore, so.
Right, yeah. So we'll see how the meta evolves. We're still in that early honeymoon stage of the Lost Origin format, but it'll be interesting to see where the format goes within the next couple weeks leading into Peoria, because I do think the format does, or the set does have a lot of really unique ideas and combos that have to be good, surely. So we'll have to see on that one. And I think that's about it. Luke, do you got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, thank you guys for having me on, and if anybody listening doesn't know where to find my content, you can search Celio's Network on YouTube, and you should be good to go from there.
Do you want to plug any other things, like your Twitter, Twitch, anything as well? It'll be in the description below.
Right. Most things for me are Celio's Network, but my Twitter is Celio's _network, because the non-_ one is taken. So.
Right.
By Samuel Simcoe.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh my god. Oh, you're dead channel now, apparently. So.
Dead channel.
And I'm wearing a Slowbro costume.
Yep. And Lindsay plays Leafeon. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll have to find something for her.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up today's episode. Until next week, everybody, have a good rest of your day. Peace out.
The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com, and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokémon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at PTCGOstore.com.
Pokéx Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles. New puzzles are posted every day, and they recently launched a new Guess That Pokemon puzzle, which is a ton of fun to play. Go check them out at PokéXWord.com and be sure to follow them on Twitter for your chance to win a ton of PTCGO codes every month.
Check out the Late Night Series Season 6, brought to you by myself, Zach Lesage, and the Shovel Squad. We're going to be running a bunch of sick events for the Pokemon community, and they start on August 30th. So one thing you might be noticing here is that there's an EU time and an NA time. We have one at 12 p.m. Eastern, which works out to about 5 p.m. in London, and then we have one at 7 p.m. Eastern, which should help out a lot of players on the West Coast play in this event. That being said, we still have a lot of cool things going on. Expect similar prizing that we've had for other Late Night Series events. Expect better staffing, expect better tournament experiences, and of course we do have a stream going up for this season as well, and I will be streaming the event on Twitch. That being said, we have the whole season up on the Play Limitless website. Late Night 51 all the way through 70 runs until we hit the Invitational on November 5th. So check that out, sign up today, and support Zach Lesage Events and the Shuffle Squad. See you there.